In today's video, I have to survive 100 days in outer space. I have 3 objectives. First, obtain full NAGA armor. Second, beat NAGA King of the Moon. And our last objective is to beat Suki, the alien scientist that went mad. Can I survive? Watch the entire video to find out.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant. Your mission today is to save Nick, whose spaceship crash-landed on the moon. I set up a meeting with you and my space team. They will set you up with a spacesuit and some special equipment. You will be dispatched tomorrow. Good luck, soldier.
And as my countdown ticked down, it was time to save Nick. This long adventure into space lasted the time of 3 days. But on day 5, I prepared for entry on the moon. It looks like something is pinging me. Maybe it's NASA. I gotta answer this. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? NASA, is that you? What is going on? What is this sound? I can't control my ship anymore. Ah! What was that? It seems like something interfered with my ship. Well, at least I made it here alive. Now it's time to save Nick. And as I crawled out of the crater, I found out I really was on the moon as I threw a block and the gravity did not exist. But there was no time to mess around. I had to go and explore and find Nick. But to do that, first, I need materials, and this cave was the first thing I saw that had them. I had to do this fast though, as I only had about 2,000 seconds of oxygen. So I quickly had a little mining sesh and mined all the iron and coal I needed. Then on day 9, I decided to go deeper in the cave so I could find some diamonds. I decided I was not going to go deeper in the cave, so I did not find any diamonds. And after a little bit more of exploring, I found what looked to be a weird village, so I went to go check it out. And when I went closer, there looked to be a spaceship explosion. Maybe Nick was staying here. I had to go explore. I went and searched the houses as fast as I could, and when I went in one of them, I found what looked to be a blue creature. And even though I was scared and confused, I had to take any chances I could get, and if these guys could talk, maybe they could give me some information about Nick. But when I went to go talk to them, it seemed they didn't speak the same language as me, as when I asked them a question, they didn't respond. The only way I could think of to communicate with them was to get a frequency module, and maybe I could change the audio waves to talk to them. Hey NASA, there looks to be an alien species on the moon, and they don't look too aggressive, so maybe I could try talking to them to get some information about Nick. The only thing I need is a frequency module, so if you could send that over right away, that would be a great help. Thank you. And in the meantime, while NASA sent that over to me, I went exploring the caves to see if there was anything I needed. I also went exploring to see if I could find any more signs of Nick. But it looked like I had adventured too far. I had come up on the creature called the NAGA. I tried to sneak up on it, but I had been found instantly. I tried to run away, but the monster was still chasing me, and at the high velocities it was going, it would reach me in no time. And not even seconds later, it attacked me, sending me through the air. I tried to build up to a point where it couldn't attack me, but this seemed to anger it, and it used an ability to break the blocks I was on so I couldn't stay up there. And in a scared, frantic, and panic, I tried to build up again, but it just broke it again, leading me to the ground. And as the monster stared me straight in the eyes, I jumped into a little hole to dodge it. This confused it, so I had it straight on attack, but it just sent me flying in the air again. Every time I tried to hit the monster, it just sent me flying. I had to come up with a plan. As the monster chased behind me, I went in circles so it would twist itself up. This led it to an open shot, and I finally got my first hit. But this just angered the monster even more, leading it to get a huge hit on me. Now scared for my life because I was at 4 hearts, I tried to run, but it just kept on breaking the blocks under me. I realized I could not beat this monster, so I had to dig down and hide. I waited down there for days because I didn't want any chance of that monster killing me. And finally on day 18, I had the bravery to come out of the hole. And thank God, the monster was nowhere to be seen. But the destruction it caused was enormous, and I had to be careful. But mark my words, the next time I run into that monster, I will defeat it. And finally, after all those days, the package finally came in from NASA, and I got my frequency module. And just like that, I put it on, and I can now talk to the aliens. They seem to be just like the villagers I had at home, except alien. They traded things like batteries and oxygen. I might need these for later, but first I would have to find some of these blue emeralds. I then went mining to get some moon rocks so I could make a furnace. I also got started on getting other essential things like wood and tools. And while I was making my tools, it happened. My oxygen had finally ran out. And in no time, I started taking damage, and it was ticking down fast. But then I quickly remembered that the villagers had an oxygen tank. The only thing was I needed somehow to find some of those blue emeralds. I searched through every house trying to find some of them, but then I finally found a house that had a chest and it had some emeralds in it. But time was running out for me. I was at 2 hearts. I gave him the emeralds and took the oxygen tank. It then hit me one more time and it could have all ended here, but then I finally put it on and I was safe. Whew. That was a close one. I gotta be more careful about that next time. Luckily, I had my steak with me, so I just chomped away at that and healed up very quickly. In day 21 through 24, I finally built up the confidence to leave the village and gathered all the stuff I needed. And finally, on day 25, I left to go adventure to find Nick. Whoa, what is this? Wait. As I was exploring, I fell into this giant hole. And at the bottom, it looked to be like some giant moon dungeon. The hallways were also super dark and filled with mobs. But luckily, there was only creepers, so I was able to clear them out pretty easily. I then went on to explore the rest of the dungeon, and I actually found a chest, and in it looked to be like some items and also tier 4 spacesuit. Wait, could this be Nick's spacesuit? I have to search this place quickly. Nick could be here. I then found another chest and it had the rest of what looked to be Nick's spacesuit. I then quickly rushed down the rest of these halls and then I found a special room. And when I went into the room, it spawned the evolved skeleton boss. But Nick was also here. I had to go save him. But as soon as I went to his case, the evolved skeleton boss picked me up and threw me. I knew this boss would not let me just take Nick, so I had to defeat it. But this boss had a good strategy on me. Every time he would throw me, he would just shoot me with arrows and bounce me in the air, getting me in a huge combo. And the second I got out of it, the boss just pushed me in lava and took my armor off. This brought me down to 3 hearts and a half. I had to eat my first golden apple. And then finally, I quickly came up with the plan. The plan was to get the boss to throw me into Nick's cage. This would make it to where the boss could not do any damage to me. And after a couple minutes of trying this, I finally got it. I hit the boss, he got mad and picked me up and threw me in. But with this gravity, I couldn't quite just go in the cage until I placed the blocks and went in. And when I went in, Nick gave me his sword, saying to use it against the boss, it would be a lot easier. This was the Sword of Evasion, and it did twice the damage of the sword I already had. It once more threw me, taking off my armor and making it where I was incapable of breathing. And when I was at 4 hearts, I almost died. I had to eat my other golden apple. And after he picked me up for the last time, I was able to get my final strikes on him, and I was finally able to finish him. I had done it. I had beat the evolved skeleton boss, and I had saved Nick. It also gave me a dungeon key. I wonder what it does. And right as I thought things were going good, Nick disappeared right in front of my eyes. I can't believe after all that, after beating the boss, and he just somehow disappeared. I'm gonna have to try to find him again. But at the end of the hallway, there was a chest, and I used the dungeon key and opened it. And in the chest, it looked to be the armor of the evolved skeleton boss. I quickly put it on, and wow, this armor looks sick. Well, let's go home, and in the morning, we'll try to find Nick again. Wait. What is that? Hello? Hello, what are you? There seemed to be a monster at the end of the hall. It looked super creepy, but confused and suspicious, I went to go check it out. Wait, what is going on? My head. What was that? How long was I out for? Well, it looks like I somehow made it home. What even just happened? I just met the weirdest creature ever and then somehow got teleported back home. And my head still hurts a little bit. Well, whatever that was, I'm sure that thing took Nick, and I'm sure that's the reason I crashed. Well, it just looks like we gotta find Nick again. But before we do that, I need to adventure a little more and get some better tools and armor, so the next time I come across that thing, I can defeat it. On day 41, I also learned this armor gave me the ability to, have a jetpack. But the thing was, it did not give me fall damage resistance, so I gotta be careful with this one. It also seems like I got sent a surprise package by NASA. And since I had about 60 more days left, they sent me a package of everything on Earth, so I felt more comfy here. And with these materials, I picked out a little area and started making my little home. I started by clearing out a 10 by 10 area and on the inside filling it up with grass. And then for the rest of these 4 days, I started pitching out my tent and making it more comfy. And after I finished pitching up my tent on day 47, I thought it was about time to start getting geared up. And after exploring the caves for 2 days, I found this weird looking area with green ores. And the deeper I got, the greener it went, and it looked like the crystals glitched out every time I went near them. What is going on? And at the end of the cave, I saw it. the NAGA armor. The NASA team has been searching for this armor for years, and I am the one who found it. So I quickly took the Wither Skeleton armor off and put on the NAGA armor. But as soon as I did, what's going on? Why is the cave shaking? I gotta get out of here as fast as I can. It looks like as soon as I took the armor off the stand, it triggered something. And luckily, I was able to get out of there on day 54. But what I saw next was terrifying. There was the giant NAGA creature terrorizing over the lands. And it looks like it had brought in minions too. Apparently, when I took the armor off the stand, it had triggered the NAGA to come and find my location. The NAGA's minions sent me flying in the air so I couldn't get any strikes on it. But with the anti-gravity this armor granted, I was able to fly up and get a couple shots on the minions. But in doing so, I was too careless and it poisoned me with a really strong attack. But after chewing on my golden apple, I was able to gather up enough strength to get some hits on the NAGA. I had also learned from my mistake from before from fighting this guy. I lured him into a hole to where he was trapped and I was able to get some hits on him. I had blown up one of his sections and it was going really well until he was tired of it and broke all the blocks and flew out of the cave. He then had his minions attack me, which I nearly dodged. Then the minion tried to hit me with this poison attack, but luckily he missed. This led me to get an open shot on him and to kill one of the minions. But then its buddy flung me in the air, taking off my helmet. With the lack of oxygen, this put me at 2 hearts, but luckily I was able to put it back on. I then went back down on the ground as there was no minions to fling me up in the air. And with my height advantage, I was able to get some really good shots on him, taking away another section. And with one more massive jump, I jumped off and got a huge hit on him, finishing the battle. The NAGA also dropped the loot I needed to make the special key. And after cleaning up the mess, I rightfully placed the NAGA head in my house. Then I put all the NAGA pieces in a crafting table to make the key. This key can open any door and any trap, so just in case I went into anything, it will work. And finally, on day 65, I thought I had all the armor and materials I needed, so I headed back to the dungeon. And I knew something was up with this dungeon. On the way in, I saw footprints leading in. And it was good that I made this key, cause on the way in, there was a locked door. And when I tried using my hands to open it, it just wouldn't budge, but when I used the key, it opened right away. And I slowly but prepared entered the dungeon. And when I went closer, it appeared. Suki was here, and it looked like he was ready to fight. Every single footstep getting closer, I fought a series of mobs, until I finally got to the room. And I saw Nick, but I had to be careful because this could be a trap. What was that? Oh my, Nick! I was confused until I looked at Suki and I saw he had a syringe in his hand. It looked like he had turned Nick into a monster. And filled with anger, I went to strike him, but when I did, he disappeared. And Nick wasn't even attacking. It looked like he was just a diversion so Suki could disappear. But I knew Nick was still in there and I wanted to let him out, so I tried to kill it as soon as possible. But no matter how many hits I landed on this guy, none of them would pierce him. And I don't know what it was, but something was just telling me to go near the fire. And for some reason, I threw my sword in it. And then out of the lava it popped. The Drago Nick sword, prepared and ready for battle, and when I used it against Monster Nick, it pierced him like nothing. And as fast as possible, I tried to kill it, getting as many hits as I could. And then when I got him to a quarter health, he hit me with the biggest blow, taking me to 1 heart. I had to eat my golden apple. But in no time I went back in for the attack, until I finally hit him with the last blows. And finally, I had freed Nick. He had exploded, and out he appeared. Hey Nick, I knew you were in there. Thank God you're alive. And after me and Nick talked for a while, we left here as soon as possible. He did not want to stay in this ratchet place any longer. He had already been in here for weeks. And then on day 81, home is where me and Nick headed. And finally, 2 days later, we finally made it home. And right away, I started introducing Nick to the alien villagers. And then showed him our home where we were gonna stay until the ship was ready to launch. And on day 84, Nick came up to me and thanked me for saving him and then gave me an enchanting table. What? You're crazy, dude. And then right away, I started making the enchanting table just in case Suki decided to come and steal Nick again. Hey sir, do you have any lapis? Oh, thank you. And thankfully, from killing all those bosses, I had 46 levels, so I started enchanting all my things. And for some of these enchantments, I have no idea what they are, but you know, just go with the flow. And I finally enchanted my last piece of armor, and oh yeah, look how sick I look. Alright, we're all prepared. Never mind, then I remembered Nick also probably needed some protection too. So out of my storage, I took my old armor that I used to wear and gave it to Nick. Oh yeah, dude, you look pretty cool. And now that we were actually prepared, we told NASA that we were ready to leave. I then said goodbye to all of my alien villager friends. And after finishing all my goodbyes, on day 94, the package finally came in with the rocket ship. And Jesus, look at the size of this thing compared to me. And when day 95 pulled around, the ship was ready to launch. And then my heart dropped. Suki was here. I'm gonna kill you right here and now. But then he spawned in, the Gas Queen, the most powerful being on the moon. But luckily it was stuck, so at first I was able to get a really good shot on it, but then it blew me away. It spawned its gas babies, which flew me in the air. But my sword now was unstoppable, and when the Gas Queen got too close, I murdered it. And out of it flew a ton of huge ghasts. What do you think you're gonna do? I'm just gonna dodge it. Wait, what is that sound? What? Suki had used the syringe to turn himself into a giant monster. And Nick hated this monster already so much he could not resist attacking it. But when I went in for a strike, Suki hit me with a huge poison attack. I had to eat one of my golden apples. But no matter how much damage Nick took, he would not back off. And when Nick was distracting him, I was able to get a couple good shots on him. But if I got too close, I would take huge amounts of poison damage. It was to the point where I was almost dying. And it had led us to the point where me and Nick had to back off. And when me and Nick gathered up, he told me to use the syringe that I found at the dungeon on him. And after talking to him for a while, I finally agreed. Oh, that's so sick! The transformation to turn Nick into a giant had worked, and now it was time to finish off Suki. As Nick looked at Suki with hateful eyes, he charged at him. And Nick was doing massive amount of damage. Suki tried to knock him back, but Nick came back with the final blow and finished him. And with him dying, he dropped a loot bag, and in it was the best thing I could have imagined. A syringe. So Nick wouldn't be a giant forever, huh? Wow, this was really good news. Well, Nick, what do you say? Let's finally go home.